Yes, it finished West Ham 2, Leeds United 0. You love to see it. I mean, we rode our luck, to be fair, particularly second half. Obviously, I've asked the man Dan to get involved for the post-match reactions, giving us all of the insight and things that I've missed possibly on the watch along. But Dan, mate, look, let's be clear here. It was not the greatest performance at all,
No, it
but
wasn't. No, it
3 points, you'll take it, and we just keep chugging along.
Yeah, it's the fact that we win ugly now, isn't it? You know, we can afford to play badly if you like, well, not badly, but not as well as we can. Like against City last week, we played better, didn't we? But
Yeah.
we still grind out results. We still do the business. And today was another. For me, mate. It was a carbon copy of the away game, the reverse fixture. In the fact that they had most of the ball, they created more chances. We just were clinical, weren't we? To be honest.
I,
Um,
I think it's hard to say we were clinical. I know what you mean. Like we did take the penalty, the actual moment for the pen was
yeah,
probably the best moment of quality in the game. Like I think that might be fair to say because of the
yeah,
interchange,
yeah,
Ben Rama, Lingard, and we obviously got the penalty. That's fine. The set piece
yeah.
again, we know our quality from it, but I think that's the point this season, though, isn't it? Like even in open play where we weren't great, we were losing the ball. There wasn't great composure in there. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because we can still get those goals and we're still in the driving seat.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you said, I thought, it's hard to be negative, but it's our assessment, isn't it? I thought the first 15 minutes they controlled it. We didn't
Yeah.
start well at all. We'll get onto that offside thing in a minute. But yeah, no, like you said, mate, even again, we looked to counter when we went 2-0 up, which suited us perfectly because we got fast, dynamic players who can hurt you on the break, and it suited as well. And we saw the game out relatively comfortably. They had a few, I think they had two very good chances second half, which they didn't take, or maybe three. But on another day, they could have got something out of the game. But we need a bit of luck, and we've got it, and we move on.
Yeah, definitely. Like they were all over us. They were absolutely in the first 10 minutes. I thought we were very sloppy with our pressing, and I think when you've got players like Llorente, particularly in the first 10 minutes, I felt like he was playing between the lines a little bit, getting into Calvin and Click very easily. They were bypassing our midfield, and that's frustrating. I get West Ham probably felt a little bit more confident in this game. We had Lingard, Antonio. We didn't have that last time round, but it did leave us a little bit open. And it was a little bit frustrating. Chris touches it there. We missed control and didn't take care of the ball. And I think we needed to settle into the game. And I said on the stream, I said, if we get past those 20 minutes, which ironically was the time when we got the penalty, then we'll calm into it. But they were all over us. Should we talk about the first goal for Leeds? Because you've said to me beforehand that was onside. I mean, normally, but with the VAR, they obviously declared it wasn't. We got very, very fortunate, mate. I mean, I don't have to break it down. Creswell's positioning is off massively.
It is. I think he's anticipating for the ball to come one way, and then I'm not sure what happens. Does it go the other way or something, and he's caught off guard?
Because Bamford, wouldn't it? Picked it up in the box and then he laid it onto Costa.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not complaining, mate, but it's onside. He's on for me. I've shown you that graph.
Yeah.
He's level, by foot, and they're saying his knees offside. But even when you try and look at a different angle to see, he's on, which we rode our luck with. Because I was watching on the replay, I was like, he's on here. He's definitely on. Because for me, if you're level, you're onside. But that's VAR. If that happened against us, I'd be very annoyed. But I'm not complaining. But we did get lucky, and then obviously they had another goal ruled out, didn't they? Which was right, which was the correct decision.
Yeah, that was the right one.
Was right, but yeah, maybe it set us up to be more motivated, get into the game, wake up a bit, because it was definitely a wake up call, and obviously get that first goal.
Yeah, I saw it on the replay, and my instinct was the way that his arm was kind of a bit further past the sort of line. I felt, hang on a minute, I think the refs will give it offside because we know what they're like, particularly this season. If they any excuse to give the offside, they will. We got lucky, mate. I actually thought it was so interesting how Leeds pressed us, and we were panicking. It was very easy to get through us in the first place. B, they got these numbers in the box. You have Rafinha in there. I can't remember who they brought on the left hand side. Costa was on the right even.
Yeah,
they brought him on in the second half, but just the fact that they had bodies in the box and it just threw us all apart. Ian says again, I think another masterclass by Moyes. I won't go that far. We'll touch on it. Don't worry. But no, you're entitled to your opinion, mate. I think definitely mentality-wise, there's been a huge shift. It took us a long time for me, like a lot longer than it normally takes for us to settle into games, mate. I think we were shaky. I think even Declan was losing the ball in midfield. I felt like Calvin Phillips, to be honest, had a very good game, and I felt like he recovered the ball quite a few times off deck, and I was worried. I've got to be honest, I was worried, and that disallowed goal in the end, quite rightly. But again, Rafinha getting to the byline, causing us issues. At that point, mate, did you feel like, hang on a minute, it's one of them days where West Ham are so off the ball and Leeds are so on it that we might not get that result?
Yeah, to start with, because me and you both know, mate, the threat they cause, how well they can start games. Away from home, they're very good. It was that fast transition, wasn't it? Like you said, between midfield and attack, which really caused us issues. They didn't languish on the ball. They were, passing it quickly through the middle. It causes a lot of problems. Especially in the first 15 minutes, and we couldn't really deal with it. When they have quick, dynamic players like Rafinha who can pick a pass out of nothing. Obviously, you got Calvin Phillips, who had the most ball recoveries tonight. So in terms of nullifying Declan, he did that well.
Yeah.
He was that in front of their back four, which that Pascal isn't really as natural as me. So yeah, no, we started slow, and I was concerned to start with.
Yeah, no, I was worried. I think it was just it was the fact we were so easy to play through. It was also the fact that I felt that when we got the ball, we weren't really economical with it. We weren't very good. I remember one time in that first half, Soufal tried to play it down the line, played it out of play, and I think I'm not saying we weren't anticipating the press, but I think you forget how intense that Leeds press is, and what they were very, very good at doing was committed men forward and forcing us into errors and making us rush our play. The one moment that did come from the game, mate, that obviously changed things really and truthfully was, of course, that link up between Ben Rama and Lingard on the left-hand side. I thought in general, Ben Rama had a very, very good game. It's probably slightly disappointed he come off quite
needs
early.
A goal, doesn't he, mate?
Needs a goal, man. We'll get onto the missed chances. Don't you worry, man. He had quite a fair few tonight. But it was the one moment. Again, Ben Rama just keeping the ball long enough. We know the link up he's got with Lingard and how crucial that is to breaking down. And I thought Leeds tonight defensively weren't that bad either. So the fact we were able to break them down and run through that midfield at that time was really impressive. Penalty for you, I think fair to say. I thought that was quite a fairly obvious. It's maybe soft, but the contact's there. You'll take it. Go on, mate. Say a bit.
I don't think it's a pen.
Really?
No.
Do you not think it's a pen because, like, in terms of your opinion on just the general rules, or because for me, like, in terms of the penalties that are being given this season, that's a pen. Like, I think it's probably maybe a bit soft, but he makes the contact, and it's enough for us to get something.
He does, but for me, it's the rules where you make the contact, but if you make contact, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a pen. It's got to be. Do you know what I mean? It's got to be a clear and obvious. It's hard to explain, but for me, it's soft, mate. It is soft. Borderline. It is very soft. Obviously, giving it some complaining, but I just think it's got to be blatant contact. I mean, a complete. And that was for me borderline in minimal contact, where he didn't need to go down.
Okay.
But I'm not complaining. It's borderline pen, borderline not a pen. But we've got it, and obviously we scored eventually. So
I think it's pen because I've got to be honest. I think some of them are a bit sus. Like obviously, the one I remember really distinctly is Trent Alexander-Arnold the other week, where it's kind of minimal contact after the sort of phase of play's gone, and that type of thing. I think is soft and ridiculous. But I think Ayling's put a leg out there. I think there is an element of probably Lingard's looking for it, but then I don't blame him. He's beaten 2-3 men and he's got into the box, and then that's a chance. And again, if Ayling throws a leg out at him, then inevitably we'll get a penalty. I think if it was the other way round, maybe me and you were sitting there having a different conversation, and I was saying, I don't know. I think that he's looking for it. But listen, it works both ways, didn't it? And I think we needed that in the game at the time, getting that goal just to settle us down a little bit. Talk about penalties, mate. I thought your mate Declan Rice was going to step up and take one, but he didn't. Jesse did. Thoughts on that?
I don't agree with it. You should stick with your pen
No,
taker.
I
No.
agree.
Just because they had a conversation and Jesse wouldn't happen last time, if you're designated penalty taker and Moyes has decided for you, you carry on taking them, mate. You
I,
know,
agree,
I
I
don't.
completely agree, mate.
Yeah, I don't know if it annoyed Moyes or Moyes agreed with it. If Lingard won it, the next time he takes it, but that for me is the reason why. Because Lingard obviously used to take penalties. He never was at Man United. Poor pen, really poor pen. He got lucky because it was so central, as they were saying on the analysis at half time. Because it was so central, Melier couldn't palm it up around the post, so instead it came off him, and Lingard had the advantage. But it wasn't a great pen at all. But he was there in the right place, right time to react and put it away. To credit for him for doing that. So
I don't think Moisey would have been happy with that. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I don't know whether it was because the thing for me is, I thought the minute Declan Rice stood up and took that penalty against Sheffield United, that he was the anointed penalty taker. And for me, you don't change your pen taker. But
No, you don't.
unless there's a conversation behind closed doors where they said, fair enough, Lingard. And if that is the case and it's consistent with it, then I suppose you just have to sit there and say, fine, he's the penalty taker going on. But I fully anticipated Declan Rice to go up and step up. I think he probably would have converted it. It was a poor penalty from Jesse, and I think he's benefited in a way the fact that it's come into his direction, completely into his sort of line of movement, and he can use his left foot and to the corner.
It
Otherwise,
was too predictable, mate, wasn't it? His stutter and then his body shape was far too predictable for me. And maybe I read him like a book. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think you should switch penalty takers. You should stay consistent with one, like we have with Nobes through the years. Obviously, Nobes is the god of pens, isn't he? So he shouldn't be in this convo. But what's that saying? Not that.
Agree with me.
Yeah. All right, fair enough.
It's mad though. There's definitely a grey area, isn't there, for intent and intensity and all those things you can't measure.
Yeah. VAR defo needs to clamp down on the handball rule, which it has done. Rectify that. Obviously, when Fulham got one disallowed the other day because it accidentally came off Magic's arm.
Yeah.
They've been right to do that because it's put like what you're meant to do, have no arms. Do you know what I mean? But that's another convo anyway.
We'll talk about it in a minute, mate, because it come off, I think, Cooper and Phillips is... we'll have a little chinwag about that one.
That's not pen.
It's too harsh, isn't it?
Yeah, but no, they should have stuck with Deck. It was a risk to obviously change it, but eventually it paid off. Melier was unlucky. But fair play for Jesse. He's got 4 goals now in 6 games and 1 assist, 2 penalties, 1. I thought he was quiet today.
Yeah, he was.
Really quite sloppy as well in his play at times. But he got the goal and he reacted well to the save. So good on him.
I think that's the mad thing about today. The fact that a lot of the players, for me, were off it. I can't really criticise Declan. I think Declan probably settled into the game a little bit more. Passing was better. Obviously, we know about his intensity and winning the ball back, and I've got no issues with that. I think in terms of those attacking 4, Antonio, for me, I think he ran the channel very well on the left-hand side first half. And I think that's why we're able to create so many chances. But I still think ball retention is a serious problem. And I don't know what it is when you've got... Because for me, I think Fornals has improved probably since that City game. And I thought he had a very good game again tonight on the ball. But I think... If you're a transitional side and you're looking to hit and work into space, you've got to be very, very good in terms of keeping the ball. And I think that's the only area that I think West Ham are slightly sliding down on a little bit at the minute. And I think...
Do you think that's because... Sorry, mate. Do you think that's because Antonio, on a whole, because he's got such a focal point that he's not good on the ball, that it impacts the rest of them in terms of when we're trying to transition in attack? Do you know what I mean? Maybe. I think... It's a good point. I think West Ham get enough bodies up there. I think we've got to give credit to Leeds in some respect. They got a lot of men back very, very quickly, and it's hard to move into the space. And listen, West Ham, when you've got space in front of you, they knew from the last time out when we had space into the midfield to run into. I think they addressed that in the second half, by the way, because Dallas was playing a bit more central with Phillips, and they kind of nullified it a little bit. So they knew that was a problem, and we benefited. But I just think against the Man United's next week, we have to be better in terms of keeping the ball long enough. And I think this is the point.
I don't expect Mikel Antonio necessarily to keep it and play, a 50-yard pass and switch the play. It's not really what I'm interested in. But I want him to keep the ball. Just keep it long enough. Keep it simple. Allow West Ham to progress a little bit further up, because I think at times we're putting ourselves under unnecessary pressure. And I think that first half for me, it was a bit too bitty. And I think another day, another game, Leeds take our chances. We're sitting there going, do you know what? That's really frustrating. We shouldn't do that. I know we've got away with one tonight, but
point. Yeah, I think we were just forcing it too much first half. I think we're forcing it down to ourselves. Whether you say, look at Leeds in the first half, they just kept the ball, worked it patiently. Then once they saw that killer pass, they played it. I thought we lacked that. We normally do that. But like you said, going on to the point about Antonio, for me, his hold-up play is sound because of how strong he is. It's more when he's on the ball, on the counter-attacking in vital areas. His end products, mate, as we know, because he's been a winger. He's technically, he's not that good, is he? So I think if we had someone more technically sound as a striker, say like an Ings, for example, I think it'd make us more productive. You know what I mean, on the counter. But because of Antonio's, obviously he's never been known for his technical ability. That affects it. But I think he did well. Obviously he put a shift in off the ball, and he's very strong on the ball. I just think at times. He just ain't got that instinct, mate, has he? Do you know what I mean? Ain't got that technical instinct.
I know what you mean. And I think probably it might be a bit harsh for us to ask that of him, because he's never really been technically brilliant. I think, actually, to be fair to him, first half, I think he had one really good cross from the left. And I think that's what he offers you, by the way, like, a kind of natural striker, really. And even, I know Danny Ings has varied it up a little bit, and he can come off and Redmond goes in beyond, and that's fine. But I think Antonio, the fact that he's normally a winger, and I think he's adapted to kind of those positions and he takes those up, actually benefit us a little bit. But I know, but it's not whether he can hold it up. I know he can hold it up, but he can't lose it. That's my opinion. If you've got it and you've got the strength, just don't lose it. Keep it simple. And I think it probably fits more into the narrative that we were trying to rush things a little bit tonight. And I think that's probably the intensity that Leeds play at, and it put us under a bit of pressure that maybe we weren't expected. Maybe I'm nitpicking, but I think you've got to look at it in terms of the validity because of the performance. And if we sat here 2-2 tonight, that would have been a real talking point.
Oh yeah, that's a valid point, mate. Definitely. Leeds' intensity on and off the ball, how far they run and the miles they put in. What is it, the most in the league or something? It's going to be a difficult
Probably, man. Probably.
It's going to be tough for us to be productive on the ball when they get so many men back quickly. But and they did that well, they nullified as well on the counter. Nullified Jesse well. And next week against Man United, we're going to have to acclimatise. Obviously, he's not available. So we're going to have to, come up with a different solution. Maybe bring in Bowen or Johnson, go 5 at the back, and be more, instinctive than we were tonight, like you said.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna have to do me homework a little bit and watch Man United. They played very well against Manchester City, and they're not going to employ that same type of tactic. I think they're going to probably push a little bit higher, a bit of a higher line, and maybe there will be areas for West Ham to exploit. But it's going to be an interesting one with a change of personnel, definitely. I think Ben Rama has to come in because Lingard's out. Bowen probably has to come in as well. Fornals on the left. We'll touch on Cresswell later, but it kind of fits in a little bit with the second half. Second half, Leeds make changes. For me, that changes the game. If I'm honest, I don't think we were fantastic throughout, but I felt that the changes made by Bielsa, it helped them make a lot more chances. And I felt that we lacked a little bit of a cutting edge in that second half, but probably because of the way that Leeds adapted their tactics. So I reel off what I saw. I think Alien was pushed up a lot higher. Rafinha kept the width a lot better. I think they were trying to stretch us in that back four. Dallas came into midfield instead of Click. Again, the press and that ball retention, very, very difficult for us to get out at times. Yeah. I think that it hurt us a little bit. It affected our press and we couldn't really get out. And I mean, in terms of chance creation, mate, it kind of just shriveled up a little bit. It was hard for us to play out from that.
Yeah, it was, and they did make some good subs, didn't they? Productive subs. When Alioski came on as well, he kept the width well. Good overlapping option in the first half. They didn't really have that with Dallas, did they? He's not as energetic as Alioski is, so it's difficult. Alioski obviously put a good ball in for Rafinha that was a good effort.
Oh my god! Yeah, tell me about it, man.
Bullet, mate. But I think as well what made them productive second half and why they kept the ball more is because Rafinha came central as well. And looked to occupy them areas in between the lines that really helped them because he's obviously his vision second to none. Bamford got in behind a few times, as we saw, straight away in the second half. We should have buried that, by the way, but yeah, and that's what made them more effective. And obviously, the introduction of Rodrigo as well, who's very technically gifted, coming into play, and bringing Click off, who had a unusually bad game because he's normally quite efficient in that midfield. But Dallas came in, and yeah, mate, like you said, they were the better team second half for me. We looked to hit them on the counter. We were comfortable in doing that, and we could have had another in the end as well. So.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I think amongst that kind of what felt a bit like Leeds' dominance in that second half, we did still have chances. 4-0 absolutely cracked one off the bar, which, to be fair, mate, if that had gone in, that was Lanzini levels, wasn't it? I mean, it was unreal from him. And I think
better than that for me.
Yeah, if it goes top bins, mate. But I think as well the fact that with 4-0, you associate him with snatching at things and taking things. The fact that he had a bit of composure about him, it was very far out. And I will give him a little bit of a bit of praise at the end. But yeah, it was very difficult. I thought Moyes might have reacted a little bit quicker, if I'm honest, to the changes that Bielsa made, because I felt it was quite evident that they were getting at us a little bit more. Unfortunately, I felt that Benrahma probably fell foul of that because he was on the left and obviously had to protect Creswell a bit. And I feel that he took him off and then obviously brought on Bowen and it changed things. And maybe if we played a back five, we would never have had to have done that. There's no doubt we rode our luck. There's absolutely no doubt for me. I think Rafinha's hit it straight at Fabianski, almost sort of level with his hands. Anywhere other, it's causing him some issues. The Bamford thing, and I've seen all these TVs stream, and they obviously are criticising him because he has to finish that. He had a couple of chances tonight. Actually, rewind a little bit. That Bamford had his chance in the first half, by the way, and it might have even been the second. But the fact that he managed to get past Diop that easily is massively concerning. But huge, because someone said, "Well, Dawson's playing him on side," but Diop's got to see that, man. He cannot allow Bamford to come around him like that. And I think that's always the problem with Diop, is that awareness. He has to be, he's got to be switched on. And we wrote a lot in terms of Paddy Bamford, mate, because he had a massively off night. And any other time, he's putting that bottom corner or he's putting it top corner.
Yeah, no, I thought before the game as well, like you made, that Bamford would cause Diop problems with his movement because he's got that very, predatory movement, hasn't he? Which gets him a lot of his goals. And I think it was first half as well, the cross for the I think the disallowed goal. It was Diop switched off then, and then there's the beginning of the second half. I mean, it's, like you said, it's his lapses in concentration. Bamford, it's just he just turns him so easily, and then he's obviously through on goal. And Diop, again, like I've always said, he stepped up a bit higher, and then the Bamford thought, what, I'll just turn you over shoulder and go behind you and exploit that gap that you've created. And he did it well. Yeah. But other than that, I thought Diop had a good game. But it's just for me, what will set him apart from being an okay defender and a great defender is his awareness and lapses in concentration, because they will cost us. And if you do that against the likes of next week, like Cavani, Martial,
Rashford,
Kane, etc., Rashford,
they'll
take the chances, won't they? And Bamford would have done on another night tonight. So, yeah.
He got away with one. And I think there was parts of his game tonight that he was all right. And I remember him running into midfield, and he's got that element about him where he can beat a man. And fair play for a centre-back to have that kind of attribute. But he has to do better for me. He really, really does. And I think Sunday we're talking about possibly Fernandes picking up the ball in those areas. You've got to be switched on, man, because they will have players coming in. If Martial's a 9, come a bit deeper. We saw it against Manchester City. We have to be massively switched on. I imagine we'll be a lot more defensive against Man United. We're not going to play. I think we were trying to play out a little bit against Leeds, and we thought, hang on, we'll press them, but we didn't do it effectively enough. And when you don't win that ball, they'll play through the line. So, it was an issue, the fact that Moyes didn't change it. I thought he would have brought on possibly Ben Johnson a little bit sooner. That's my only complaint. I don't know. I imagine you felt the same, mate. A little bit uncomfortable, probably 70 minutes. Leeds were getting chance after chance, and although we did get breaks in transition, again, we weren't being effective with them, and I felt they were getting a lot of chances and they were creating. So Any concerns from you, mate? Like maybe you thought that was going to be it, and maybe one goal Leeds get back into it, and all of a sudden we're sitting there going, "Hang on, this is going to be a tighter game than we
Squeaky bum
thought."
time. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, exactly
Yeah,
the same as you. I thought, obviously, Rafinha's their main threat, isn't he? And once he got more into the game in the second half, I thought, right, you need to switch 5 at the back now, because obviously Cresswell, as good as he is, Rafinha was having an impact on the game, which was obviously going to be natural at one point. That overhead kick as well, by the way, I think it was deflected in the end, but
luckily.
lovely, wasn't it? Yeah, but that's what Rafinha can do. You can put. I think we tried to double up on him in the second half, didn't we, towards the latter stage of the game? But he can just squeeze out of tight corners. And then obviously, they had the impetus, and I thought they'll get a goal back here. And then it's squeaky bum time, But yeah, I thought Moyes could have been a little bit more proactive, if you like, with the subs, and thought when Leeds were getting a firmer grip of the game, switch up to the 5 at the back, and then obviously, employ the same tactics, counter them, and see what you do from there. But they missed how many chances second half? They missed 3 great chances. So
I think at one point they had about 8 attempts in the second half compared to 2, and I think that's the thing that it's horrible. I don't want to, I'm not digging Moyes out clearly, and I think what he's done for the team and the squad is brilliant, right? But you've got to react quicker, and I felt like it wasn't working, and we weren't being effective enough, and in terms of transition. And I think, to be fair, a couple of times when we broke, we had 4 men breaking, all with pace, but it was just that little bit of quality. And I know we've got the quality in those attacking 4. I know we've got it, but we've just got to maintain composure. And maybe it's like a sort of willingness to be very, very quick and think very, very quickly. And then there's kind of a little bit of a breakdown. Maybe that's more what it is. And you've got to maybe credit them a little bit to be a bit courageous and play like that. But I think probably next season, if I'm honest, we'll probably build on that a little bit more, because I think we've got the potential. Tactics are spot on in terms of how you hurt teams, but just a little bit more in that sense, and being a bit more, proactive in those changes. But I think that's always been the case with Moyes. I know he doesn't want to tinker with it too much. It's a bit of a poison chalice, isn't it, mate? In the same way that he doesn't tinker with it too much. Players get used to the same way of playing and they improve. So it's a tough one, but I definitely would have changed it a little bit sooner.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was natural that Leeds were obviously going to have a period in the game where they were going to dictate it and get, claw themselves back into it, which then they did on several occasions, as we've said. Yeah, I know what you mean. Especially if we get into the Europa League, we need to attract them caliber of players whereby the more technically sound on the break, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, it's nitpicking, isn't it? We didn't play well. Even Dex said it post match. We haven't played as well as we have against the likes of City last game, but we still won it. We won it ugly, which is a good sign of this team moving forward. Bottom line is I would have changed it sooner and been more reactive, because I thought they were the best team that's come to London Stadium in a while, since when we lost 3-1 to United. I know
what you mean.
You've
got to give credit where credit's due. I thought there was nothing. The finishing lacked. They'll be gutted. They will be absolutely gutted, because I think a lot. I'm not blaming the defence at times, but I just felt like because we weren't really covering those wings properly, and they were pushing on a little bit, you could cut back, and there were spaces on the edge of the box, and we were getting chance after chance. We didn't address it, so it's tough for me to blame the players. But even when we talk about Calvin Phillips versus Declan Rice, I thought Calvin had a great game tonight. I thought he won the ball very, very early on against Declan a few times. Yeah. His passing range was very good, ball retention, and I think that pressure resistant. And I think that's just it's credit to them in the way that they play. Let's talk about West Ham. Let's get away from Leeds a little bit. I'm sick and tired of giving them credit. I've always been accused of being a Leeds fan, but Fabianski had a great game again, mate. He dug us out of holes. He always does. So sign him up, mate. New contract, surely. It's taking too long now. Nobes is getting one. Fabi should get one.
Yeah, another year or two, definitely, because he's a safe pair of hands, isn't he? Obviously, it was pivotal for me that he was back tonight, because Randolph's not as commanding in set piece areas. I know Leeds didn't have many set pieces, but still, would have Randolph made them saves? Fab did tonight. I'm not sure. Nonetheless, he had a great game, didn't he? He clawed us out of a few well, he made a few vital saves, and that's what keepers are there to do. So hopefully, we'll tie down for another year. How old is he now? Like 34?
34, 35?
Yeah,
Definitely.
give him another year. Yeah,
I'd, I'd give him two. I'd give him two. I think give him another year, and then you start maybe phase him out if you want to go and bring in a long term, and you have him as a backup because Fabi, mate, as a backup would be unreal even. So, touch on the Neil's comments. Bamford ballooning it over. Yeah, lucky mate. Rafinha looks a player. Again, he does, and he threatened really in that second half. I thought he was really superb, and we rode our luck a little bit. Craig Dawson, mate, he's an absolute legend, isn't he?
yeah. What a man!
Off the goal line, the goal from the set piece, flying. It's horrific defending, by the way, from Lorette. It's horrific, but
It is poor. Yeah,
very good movement from Craig Dawson. And you give Craig Dawson a free run at it, mate, he's going to score. And again, mate, he's turned up, and I don't really remember him ever having a bad game for West Ham, which is nuts considering I've been clipped up saying he'd never be a good defender for us, but he has been, mate.
Yeah, I'll be on that Bad Takes West Ham Twitter account soon, mate, for that.
I probably am already on there, man.
Yeah. He's morphed into the Carlos Puyol, hasn't he? Carlos Puyol of England. He's just solid, mate. He came in, I thought, oh dear, it's not really real ambition for us moving forward in terms of he's been relegated a few times. He didn't look good when obviously we played them last season, Watford at home. But he's made us look like a mug, hasn't he? He's come in, he's just solid. His anticipation. I thought the real test was going to be when Bonner got injured. I thought, right, now is his chance to, step up. But he's done it. I think he's a good leader for Diop as well in terms of he's got an experienced head. Diop can learn off his game, and obviously the goal, mate, it should never have got to him. But that movement, he's got that instinct in the box. He nearly scored again, didn't he, off the post? He's obviously doing really well. And I wonder, I've seen a few comments, mate. Do you think he's knocking on that door for an England call-up? You think it's a bit premature?
I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, if I saw something where I'd go, do you know what? I don't think he's England level. But then, how many clean sheets has he got for West Ham since he's come into the side? How many goal line clearances? How many goals? Like, exactly. All you can ask of a centre back is he wins the first ball. Both of our centre backs try and win the first ball. It's impressive, and again, that's how you get turnovers, right? He scores from set pieces. His movement is very, very good. I don't actually see a weak part in his game, apart from mobility. But let's just play devil's advocate here and say England play a back three. I don't think it's the worst option in the world. I don't think he'll get in it, but if there's enough injuries in there, I don't see why not. I'm being deadly serious. I don't see why he can't, because I think he's a very good defender. And I think you saw that when you saw the goal line clearance, by the way, some defenders just leave that. Nah, do you know what? I ain't going to run for that. But he anticipated. Yeah, he anticipated it, and he still made it. And I'm like, I just a guy. I think we're very, very fortunate at West Ham when we've got Bonner and Dawson fit, because they're players that I know they get protection from Declan and Souček, and I do understand that, but they're very switched on and they read the game very well. And listen, man, I think at international level that's important, but. Never say never, man. Never say never. I'd absolutely love to see him in an England shirt.
Oh, I'd love it, mate. You know what just gives me the fear, though? Him against, like, Mbappe or something, or... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd cope with it. But then again, he'd probably pocket Mbappe, wouldn't he?
He'd probably kick him before he even gets on the ball, like, to be fair.
Victim number 2.
But that's the thing, mate, isn't it? Like, I'm not saying, Mbappe would obviously beat him, but I think where he benefits is... He tries to win that first ball. You never really see him running back like Roger Johnson style and giving him. I've never seen that from him. He's always there. Like, I remember against Palace away, again 1-on-1 with Eze, and he that's the only time backed off, but he was already in a decent position and then made the right tackle. 1-on-1s, fantastic. In terms of winning the first ball, fantastic. He got every element of a decent centre back. So
that's credit to whoever identified him, probably Moyes, because obviously. You don't turn a good defender overnight, do you? He's clearly been a good defender. Just at Watford, obviously in a struggling team, he's not really going to stand out, is he? Because he's got 3 other defenders who are bang average and not Premier League level. So he can't do it on his own. And obviously, he's coming to West Ham on loan. The thing that I've wondered before, mate, can Watford do Watford have an option to record? I assume they don't, but
No, I think they do, man. I think
what
it's
if Watford
too.
just turned around and went, "Oh, well, can we have him back?"
Do one. You're fighting for promotion, mate. We're nearly in Champions League at the minute. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No.
It's nuts, man. And I think that's just the summary of tonight, innit? It's the I'll put it on Twitter. The mentality, man. I have
Exactly.
not
Yeah.
watched the West Ham side with a little bit of grit and guile and can get
Not
goals.
since
And
the Bilic days, mate.
but even in the Bilic days, mate, we were a little bit flaky at times. Like we turned up when we had to turn up. We turned up, right? The big teams, we were always there. Payet,
Yeah.
Lanzini, Antonio. We
Yeah.
got the results. There was a bit of spirit, but I think there's that same spirit, but there's that organisation. The players know exactly what their jobs are, and they know
Exactly. They're
exactly
well
what they need
drilled,
to do.
aren't they? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we're as an overall squad better. I think we've got loads of people we rely on each week, and they all turn up. They don't
Yeah. They
really
do.
have too many off days, to be honest.
That's credit to be fair. This is probably the most spirited West Ham team I've seen in my lifetime since I've been going to the games.
Yeah, it's a shame we're not there, mate. To be honest,
Yeah,
it'd be great to see.
it is a massive shame. But hopefully, when we go back and things are on the up, obviously, we'll see that vast improvement. Do you know what I mean? Compared to last time, and we'll see how much they've improved. And obviously, we'll see Souček, Kufal as well. So yeah, no, it's great to see. Because that is the sign of a good team, mate. I've always said that, to you, and we've always said this, that even though we didn't play well and we were like, what, a 7 out of 10, we still grinded out the result. We still did it in an ugly manner. And that is obviously frustrating for other teams, but that is the sign of a top 4, top 7 team. So yeah, it's good to see. One comment that is annoying me, mate, from Christian Holiday. He says, when is Pogba back? Do you know that?
I don't really care. I don't think. I don't think he's back.
My eye on it. Sorry.
No. I don't think he's back for Sunday. I think he's probably. I think
he's back in.
Out.
I think he's back. I think he's back in a few weeks.
God, hopefully not before West Ham. I don't really.
No,
I think. We'll touch on it briefly with the United game. Look, they played well against Man City, and I'm not discrediting Man United. It'll be a different game, man. It'll be a different game. I think we can't be as sloppy as we are in terms of keeping the ball. That's a fact. I think we need the energy there. I think having a fully fit squad is going to benefit us compared to last time out. I think we did well in the first time fixture anyway. I actually felt, if you watch the game back first half, he was accommodating us a little bit, Ollie, because Pogba was a bit deep and then Fernandes was off, and I think he knew we were going to try and hurt him, and we did. So, it would be an interesting one. I mean, what's your expectation of that game, mate? For me, it feels like get a draw, keep the momentum going, and we go to Arsenal, a game that we can win. I'm not really. If we get a win, that's brilliant, but it's still a tough game.
I'd snatch your hand off for a point, mate. I just want us to show a bit more ambition than we did, obviously, in the cup when we were last there, because I think it was there for the taking. Obviously, I think they're well suited. Obviously, away from home, you've seen their record because they like to counter and nullify teams, and they're effective with the pace they've got, obviously, in the front lines and their transition. I just think at home, with pressure on them of keeping the ball and making things happen and initiating, they struggle. But obviously, we struggled to create at the same time. So a point would be a great result. I don't think we'll win the game. I don't want to be negative, but United are a difficult team to play against. Obviously, they've got Fernandes and Rashford and all that as well. But I'd like to see us. I think we'll play more direct. I do. I think we'll look to get Souček further up the pitch, get men around him, and that way we might cause some problems. But we're not going to win. We're not going to be better on them in terms of keeping it on the floor. We're not going to outplay them in that aspect. Be difficult to create things. So I'd rather us go long.
I think we have to be better in beating on the one-on-ones, beating them in. I think that's why Ben Rama may come into it, because I was doing some homework today, because obviously I've got to get ready for this United game. Fred has the most pressures, but I think he's 12th for successful pressures. And Bruno Fernandes is exactly the same. Most pressures, but incredibly unsuccessful. And I think it shows to me that there is a lack of defensive acumen that I think United fans bring up in terms of having a natural defensive midfielder. And I think if West Ham carry the ball in this game, then we'll get chances. But we have to get into those opportunities. We've got to get Mickey on the shoulder. If I know Mickey did a job tonight in terms of stretching Leeds, and it works because there's one-to-one marking system that they employ, right? But Mickey on the left against Wan-Bissaka will not work. There's a lack of an aerial presence. You'll have to put forward Souček. Again, then you leave yourself vulnerable to the counter, which Manchester United thrive off of. So we've really got to use our quality, and I think that's a test. But I mean, if we want to go for a draw, I think we can get it with the back five. By the way, I do think we can grind something out, because I don't think Martial was good as he was on Sunday. I think when he gets in front of goal, panics and he misses way too many chances. But B, he's not natural number 9, and I think if we played a back five and we sat in a low block, I can't see them breaking us down unless Bruno gets a pen or something. It's not, they lack creativity, to be fair. A lot of it comes through transition. So it'll be a tough one, but I think if we show our quality in this game, then we'll get something. And if we do get something, sweet as, mate. Don't have to worry about Arsenal so much.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Especially if Rashford's out as well, because it looked quite bad the other day. So if he's out, that's something to exploit as well down that, because obviously his work rate's very good. He likes to get back. I just think you've got to be smart on, obviously, Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka are, solid. They're going to be difficult to beat one-on-one. So that's why...
statistically, they're two of the best fullbacks in the league. Nuts,
Luke Shaw's created the most chances, hasn't he, in the league?
I know, frightening.
It is crazy. So obviously we got to be wary of that. But at the same time, it sounds silly, but I don't think we should exploit the wide areas. I think we should exploit centrally past Maguire and Lindelof, because I think they're dodgy. If you look to get Antonio on the shoulder, like you said, and maybe get Souček in and around him as well, overload that area, I think that's where he causing problems. I don't think taking him on in wide areas is going to work that well, because obviously he's seen City try to do it. Sterling got nullified. Mahrez got nullified as well. So yeah, I think be more direct, but get men in the box would be my suggestion. Because I think last time it was there for the taking, mate. We just weren't ambitious enough. But say if this game's 0-0 and it's 70 minutes, bring on another striker or something. You know what I mean?
You got one.
Yeah. I'll bring on Bowen and playing him up top of something off Antonio. Because that could easily happen. We could park the bus in a sense and then take it to the end. But that'll be tough, mate. Yeah.
I think it's about game management, isn't it? It just depends how we want to play it. I think if we're in the game until 70, I think that's the frustrating thing. Not to make this a match preview because we've got that on Thursday, but I think if you sit in that block and you allow Manchester United to come onto you, and in 70 minutes you say, right, what we missed last time was Jarrod Bowen coming in with fresh legs, and do you know what I mean? And having that player that if they play that high line with, because listen, Maguire can get exploited with a high line, and Lindelof as well. And I think West Ham still created. We just couldn't get enough men in the box, and we were absolutely knackered. So I think you go into that game with a sort of a refresh. Lingard's a huge loss, but then we're fortunate. I mean, we're not very fortunate in terms of squad depth, but just in the fact that Benrahma can come in. You're very fortunate to have a player that can come into a 10 like that. But I think as well, if we want to overload those sort of central areas, they've got a double pivot if they play Fred and McTominay. So it's not easy. You're almost going to have to bait them out into coming out and pressing West Ham and then beating them in transition. But we've got to be better, mate. We have to be better.
I don't think Fred's that good, mate. I think you can look to counter Fred.
Well, Fred. The thing is with Fred, he will press. And I think that's where you beat him, and you beat the first. It's more how he uses McTominay. Because the thing is, really, truthfully, with Ollie, he's got two combinations: Fred McTominay, McFred, or he's got Pogba Matic. Never really plays between the two. And I think because Pogba's more freed up to go, and I think that would hurt West Ham a little bit more. Particularly, you see tonight as well, pressing, playing through the lines. Pogba would be great at that. And Neil says it's a real 6-pointer. Kind of, but I still think it's not really a game we're meant to win in a way. I'm not saying it's a free hit, by the way. I think we should definitely go in and be competitive and get something from it to win it. I've always gone, Man United will be a tough one. I think we have to beat Arsenal. I think we have to beat Wolves. And then we've just got to see what's going on in and around us, because I think tonight doesn't help. Chelsea winning isn't a good result.
Chelsea will be tough when we play them. Chelsea would be tough.
Chelsea would be a 6-pointer for me, because I think if you could get something against Chelsea, then you're throwing yourself right into the mix, and I think then you're changing the whole dynamic. Because if you go and beat Chelsea, all of a sudden you're like, hang on a minute, But Chelsea is so hard to beat. And I think that'll be a chess match. That won't be entertaining. That one will be properly, you go, we press, you stop, and it'll be like frustrating. But I think we can do it. But you've got to break that double six. If you break a double six, maybe. But
I think we'll beat Wolves because I think Wolves are poor this season. I don't know what's happened to them. Arsenal are obviously poor as well, so you can beat them. United, I don't think United's a 6-pointer. I just don't. I think Chelsea's more of a 6-pointer than that. And then who else have we got after that?
Leicester. Leicester might be, to be fair.
Leicester's a tough game, but that's winnable as well because they've been off lately. So yeah, now there's some winnable games there.
Leicester at home. Leicester at home, by the way. So
that's more than winnable, yeah. More than winnable, yeah.
Definitely. I think it's. Yeah. I think Dan at this point, mate, is just taking it game by game, isn't it? Really, it's easy to get, particularly with me this weekend, looking at the table and going, "Hang on a minute, there's a couple of people."
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's what I do, mate. Even for my own health, I just don't go in it with expectations now. I go in it with an open mindset and think we could lose, we could win, we could draw. I don't think we have to win. We're going to win. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, but yeah, we next week will be tough. But what you could do, mate, is you could put Fornals centrally, put Benrahma against Wan-Bissaka because Fornals can track back and. They might, when they're off the ball, look to bring Fernandes back in with Fred and McTominay in like a trio midfield partnership. So if you bring Fornals back, that might cause Fred a few issues. Because I think Fred sits more. Does Fred sit more than McTominay does? They kind of rotate. They're a bit of
Fred will press, man.
Yeah, Fred will press.
McTominay, I think, prefers just sitting a little bit deeper, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's, the Fernandes one's a tough one. It's a chess match. It always is in these tough games because the margin for error is so small. And I think you play against Man United, you play like that tonight, it's 3-2 because if Fernandes finds himself or Cavani finds himself, and I think that's just the margin that we've got to eliminate. But I think, to be honest, mate, I think they'll go in the dressing room and think, hang on a minute, we haven't played well tonight. We know we haven't played well and we've still got a result. I think that helps because it's like it's almost like we can't be beaten type mentality. And I think the longer this goes on, being in and around, the more they'll believe that they can be a top 4 club. And I think it's always been about mentality. Exactly. Start of the season was staying up. Now it's like, oh, hang on, then we're top half. Then it's like, oh, hang on a minute, top 6, then top 4. So I think the players realise that. There's definitely vulnerabilities. I mean, you could sit into the cows come home saying Creswell didn't play well, but we could. But the reality is, it doesn't matter. You're still winning. And I think you keep this up to the end of the season, you get European football. That's a crazy outcome. Even if it's Europa League, it's an unbelievable result.
Yeah, for us, it's an overachievement from the start of the season where we were, wanting to be because we thought we were going to be in a relegation dogfight again. To achieve Europe, it's something we should be aiming for. To be fair, I think Champions League would be an overachievement. I don't think we'll get that, but why not? I think Europa League would be obviously a great season. That's a fair comment as well, by the way, for next week.
Yeah, it's a shout.
And yeah, we get Europe, we build on from there. We obviously get rid of some players like Lanzini and Anderson. For me, in my opinion, bring a few players in that Moyes wants. That can be here long term, which he said this week, which is obviously the good way of shaping the club, and then go from there. Have a crack at Europe, because there's some obviously you've got some daunting teams in Europe, but they're beatable.
I don't care. We don't care. We're up there, man. We compete.
I don't care when I'm pissed in Germany. When we're pissed in Germany, mate, I won't be bothered. So.
I don't care. Dortmund away, mate. Bring it on. Tell you what, that'll be some spectacle. But no, listen, mate, I've put on the title. We're still in the hunt for top 4. We certainly are. Before we go, mate, tell everyone where they can find you. Statman Dan, the man of the people.
Statman Dan. Just DanWaff98 on Twitter. I post... I don't tweet much, to be fair. All I post is post-match tweets.
You said... weren't you the one that said Meslier wasn't a good fit? He was at the level of Ramsdale the other day.
Me? Come off it. You know what he said as well? He said Adama Traore, who hasn't scored or registered an assist this season, would be a good striker under Moyes, and that we could sign him in the summer.
I wouldn't touch him with basketball. I'm deadly serious. Like even if it was 30
He's
mil,
he's
wouldn't know.
he's a shocking player, mate. He's awful.
No, he's not good enough for me.
Yeah.
But I'm sure someone out there, particularly like the man you said, thinks he can be converted. It's a very, very lazy belief
It
because
is.
because Mikel Antonio goal contribute. Wasn't it some stat today? Don't worry, everyone. We'll wrap this up soon. But wasn't it some stat saying he was involved in the last 21 starts for West Ham? He's been involved in 17 goals or something ridiculous.
18, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
That's mad. But like that's the thing. Like that's how important he is. Adama Traore is not pivotal to the way that Wolves play in terms of goal creation. Nothing. He's just a big lump that's very quick, and he's not got bad feet. But his end product's horrific. It's
you know
awful.
who carries him? Jimenez carries him because he just crosses it in. Jimenez gets his nut on the end of it. That's all he does.
100%, mate. It's the same type of ball, isn't it? Same type of cross. He'll be there. He knows he's there, and Jimenez is obviously top level, isn't he? So
yeah, and he's got a bad attitude. Traore, he ain't more kind of play in terms of tracking back and all that. I've heard he's caused a bit of what do you call it? Not a nice mood around the camp at Wolves, which is probably why they haven't played well this season.
How old is Traore?
He's 25, isn't he?
Yes, I think we would have seen more from him, to be fair.
Yeah,
at this point, I think 21, 22, 23, I think okay, maybe. And I think he has a job for Nuno, but again, like his goal assist this season, goal and contribution has been terrible. So
there's better players out there, mate.
There's loads of better players. There's we've been with Tammy, and it would be better player. Daka, like we've said, Armstrong, arguably all of them.
Tammy, because I don't know whether he's injured or not, but he wasn't involved in the squad tonight, so you got to keep a close eye on that one.
Yeah, because he won't sign a new contract, will he? Or if they offered him a contract, he just doesn't want to. He doesn't want to extend
if he's not getting a clear future under Thomas, because I don't imagine he's a Tuchel kind of striker anyway. And if they wanted him to offer him a new deal, what's the point? But that would be a hell of a signing because I reckon it'd be a lot of money. I reckon it'd be like 30, 35 mil to pull that off. So, but if he was available, he'd be my number one striker target, I think.
Really? You rate him that highly?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I do. Yeah.
I'd have him, but I don't think I would have him.
It would be your first choice.
From what I've seen, you Daka or Tony, but I think Abraham. If you offer me Abraham, I would take him. I think he's still a bit, in terms of his movement, I don't think it's there. But I think he's young enough, and thing is, right, he can score goals. When he's in the position, he's a good finisher, right? He's just got to get himself into those positions. And I think if he can add that to his game, which again, he's got time to do so, there's no reason why West Ham shouldn't look at him. I think people writing him off is a bit premature. I think he's got...
Yeah, definitely.
I think his ability to stretch the play, again, is why Lampard had him in his side over Giroud for quite a while in that system. So, I mean, I'm not saying he's Mikel Antonio. Of course he's not. But he's a bit... To write him off is premature. And if it would never happen because Chelsea would want money. If you were clever, you could get him on a loan. Do you know what I mean? But you never would. Yeah. I'd give him 20, 25 maybe. The problem we've got is how much money we've got in the summer, which we don't know. And again...
Well, if you couple the fact that obviously if we finish say 6th, we'll get about 100 we'll get close to 200 mil for finishing there, right?
Yeah.
And then if you raise apparently 35 mil for Lanzini and Anderson, which we never will, there's another 35 on top of that. So under our owners,
no brainer
to spend. So that's one player.
Yeah. No brainer. Did you not see that thing on? Someone said that if West Ham finish in the top 4, there's like a bonus of like 10 mil around the squads. And someone wrote, and exactly what I was thinking, said, well, that's our transfer budget gone for the summer.
Yeah.
On a serious note, though, mate, I think we'll only have 7 subs next week against United because Lingard's not in there.
Probably, yeah, unless you put Coventry in there or something. But I think they played today, didn't they? They got thumped by Man City. So, but I don't understand why they didn't put Coventry on the bench or something. I don't.
Fix up, boys. Can't have you having that. You make the first team look different gravy. Yeah. Right, let's wrap it up, mate. Thanks everyone for watching. Me and Dan will be back on Thursday for the match preview for West Ham versus Manchester United, or Manchester United versus West Ham, as we travel to Old Trafford. Redemption is on the cards, mate. I believe. I think we'll be up for it. 100%. Yeah, 100%. fancy new graphic for that as well, so keep an eye out for things. Predicted 11 and opposition analysis will be out probably Friday and then Saturday, and then of course the watch along on Sunday. I can't remember what time it's for the life of me. I feel like it's a 4:30 kickoff, I imagine. So I'll be around about 4 o'clock, I reckon, get the lads on. Discuss everything, live match commentary, build-up, lineups, everything.
One more thing, mate.
Yeah, go on.
Subscribe to this geezer. Follow his content. He's a good guy.
Yeah, too right.
Long overdue, but no, do. I'm serious.
No, cheers, man. Cheers, man. And Fans Voice will be on Wednesday, and we're going to talk contract extensions. Who should be keeping, who should be sold, given that Mark Noble's now got a new contract, which I'm very happy about for the record, by the way, before we all start getting into, oh no, he wants Noble out. Of course not. He deserves a chance to come back and see the fans, particularly when we're in Europe. And I'm buzzing listening. He's a West Ham legend. But going to end it there. 11:15. Thanks so much for joining me and Dan. We'll see you on Thursday. Until then, take care. Come on, you wines. Top 4.